What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We got the platoon information for the Dark Side Geonosis Territory Battle, and we obviously know it's only going to be 4 phases, but we also got star requirements for what we're going to need for those platoons and for the missions overall. In phases 1 and 2, it will only be 6 star requirements, and then 7 star requirements in phases 3 and 4. Not really surprised by this. It said they want to make this much harder, so upping the star requirements, making it a lot harder for some of the lower end guilds to get all these characters and platoons. Makes sense for them to make it harder in that manner. So nothing there really to be surprised about. I'm also not surprised to see that they're going to make some of the higher end Darkside characters needed much more for platoons. So Darth Malak, Darth Revan, and surprisingly General Grievous are all going to be used on a lot of platoons, especially later on in the fight. In Phase 4, you're going to have a lot of Darth Malaks and Darth Revans that are going to have to go in platoons. And then for General Grievous, you're going to need something like 13 of him to get all the full platoons in Phase 2. So keep that in mind. But also, one other interesting thing I found out in here is that there's no Geonosians anywhere in the platoon requirements that I can see, so that makes me think that we're going to use them for pretty much every single phase with some kind of combat or special mission. And also, there's only 5 of them, so if they require 1, you can't complete a mission, so it makes sense for them to have it there. So expect something with Geonosians to be in every single mission or every single phase, some kind of combat or special mission, though we do know that Geonosian Brood Alpha is going to be required for the Wat Tambor shards in, I believe, Phase 2 or Phase 3. Not sure which phase the arena fight is in against the Acklay. So we have this whole forum post, and with that, let's go ahead and get into the spreadsheet for these Darkside Territory Battle platoons. And in Phase 1, it's actually not too bad here. I mean, we do have some Darth Revans. There's a Darth Revan here in top 6, and I believe that's the only Darth Revan that I've seen so far. There is a lot of IG-86 and HK-47s. Oh, here's another Darth Revan. So a sprinkling of Darth Revans here and there, not a lot of Darth Malaks, a lot of HK-47s or IG-86s. They're kind of making us use the marquee Darkside teams, the stronger ones, forcing us to sacrifice characters there to see what we can do with it to adapt. So a lot of characters like factions, like here's some First Order stuff, which you'd also see here, some Night Sister stuff, Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, Savage Opress, Sith Trooper, General Veers. There's a lot of little pockets of different factions that you're combined together. Here we got Thrawn, Palpatine, Royal Guard, Garsax, and TIE Fighter Pilot. It's usually what we see in the earlier platoons for the territory battles, is basically these little factions sprinkled in together and little pockets here and there, but they're also not the high-end characters from those factions that we usually use for a lot of them. I mean, Grand Admiral Thrawn and Palpatine will use them, but you can sacrifice one of those and still use the other one lead, or use that somewhere in an Empire team and still do okay. So overall, Phase 1 is not too bad, and you should notice that it's all characters and we have 2 sectors. So it's 2 sectors in Phase 1 and it's nothing but characters. Moving over to Phase 2, that's when we start seeing ships here, and remember, 6-star requirements on these. Lando's Millennium Falcon, Ebon Hawk, more Ebon Hawk and Ebon Hawk. There's quite a few Ebon Hawks here in Phase 2. Some Biston's U-Wings. There's another Ebon Hawk. Here's an Emperor's Command Shuttle, so hopefully someone in your guild has been working on that character. Another Emperor's Command Shuttle. Overall, not too bad. A heavy focus on light side ships here, which is to be expected because there's not a wide variety of ships that we have in the game, and the dark side ships are not really that diverse either. So a heavy focus on light side ships early on platoons, that's to be expected, though I'm sure as we go further on into the phases, we'll see more of those. Now coming down here to Phase 2, I mentioned it earlier, there's a lot of General Grievous required here. There are 13 General Grievouses that I can count. I may be missing some. At least 13 General Grievous that you will have to put into platoons for Phase 2. Now, thankfully, this is not as bad in Phases 3 and 4. In fact, I don't think I could find him in Phases 3 or 4. But that is counterbalanced by a lot of Darth Revan and Darth Malak requirements in those later phases. So a lot of General Grievous, like here's a Grievous, I see some Nuke Gunrays, there's a lot of B1 battle droids. Phase 2 is going to pretty much test how well you can sacrifice characters and still field some good Separatist teams. We'll have Geonosians, though I'm pretty sure this is where the Wat Tambor special mission will be, requiring Geonosians. So the test here is going to be who can field a good Separatist team without using either Newt Gunray or General Grievous. And I think that's going to be very important here. Using someone like Count Dooku, or even using a Newt Gunray lead if you throw in your General Grievous. This is going to be something that's going to test a lot of guilds, and I think this is part of the strategy, and I kind of like what they're going for here, you know, making people forced to give up characters and kind of come up with a strategy of who can and can't do that, and basically just kind of work around it. So it's going to be interesting to see who can do that here in Phase 2. Thankfully, we don't have that problem so much in Phases 3 and 4. This is kind of like a gear check, or like a sort of check before you go into the further phases, see who can actually do this work. So overall, lots of Separatists required here in Phase 2 that are not Geonosians. Nothing too bad. We still have some Night Sisters here and there. Bounty Hunters, I see Bosk. I've seen Jango Fett here places as well. A lot of Night Sisters too. So they are taking some of your stronger dark side teams like Bounty Hunters and Night Sisters and still forcing you to give up characters for that and still field a solid team. Now moving into Phase 3, again, we have ships here at the top. Here we go, we have a Houndstooth, some Gauntlet, still a lot of light side characters, Cassian Zuyawing. Here's another Ebon Hawk, more Ebon Hawk, IG-2000, still a lot of light side ships, which is overall not to be too surprised about. But then you see Sith Fighter, which is one of the newer ships, and then I believe I saw Houndstooth. Yeah, we have a Houndstooth here, another Houndstooth here, and I believe, yeah, there's another one. So you're going to have a few Houndstooths that you're going to have to give up in Phase 3 as well. And, you know, this is one of the better dark side ships right now, but we have other tanks as well for dark side ships, so you're going to have to work on them, like Sith Bomber is a tank for the dark side ships. You can also try to get around with a Bounty Hunter fleet if possible, but those who can sacrifice a Houndstooth and still field reliable fleet teams, those are probably the people who are going to have to give up their Houndstooths to make the platoons work in Phase 3. And I'm pretty certain that the platoon bonuses are going to be pretty vital, just like they were early on in the light side and dark side versions of the Hoth Territory Battle. Now, in terms of characters here in Phase 3, gonna see a lot of Boss still, and then a lot of Darth Revans and Darth Malaks are gonna pop up. You have two right here, another Darth Revan. There is going to be a lot of Darth Revans starting to show up in Phase 3. This is where things are gonna get tough, because I'm sure a lot of people have a certain number of dark side teams they focus on, but now we're gonna have to start sacrificing those Darth Revans, and without the Darth Revan lead, you don't really have a Sith Empire team. There's no other viable lead for those Sith Empire teams. So the people who give up Darth Revan are probably going to have to give up most of the other characters. You can still make HK-47 work in teams. Darkside Basilisk Sean could still work in a Sith Empire team. But overall, it's going to be a lot harder for people to field these teams if they don't have that Darth Revan lead. And again, this is exactly what we were expecting. First Order Officer and Captain Phasma, still a lot of First Order characters here. Another Darth Revan, and Embo, Jango Fett, Darth Malak, Darth Revan, Asajj Ventress. That's a particularly painful platoon right there. Overall, it's pretty much what we expect from platoons now, is they're gonna hurt you and make you sacrifice certain characters, and I just can't state that enough. So moving on to Phase 4, overall still a lot of light side ships required here in the fleet platoons. You can see at least half of each platoon is still going to be light side ships, and I mean overall it's nothing too bad. There's quite a few more Houndstooths being required here, same with Ebon Hawks. Overall, a very strong dark side ship, and a ship that not a lot of people are going to have, so you do have to keep that in mind. And here you go, here's a B-28 Extinction class bomber. That's the Sith Trooper bomber, no, Sith Marauder, sorry. So overall, the fleet platoons still a little more strenuous, but nothing that's egregious. And here though, you can see Geonosian Spy Starfighter and Geonosian Soldier Starfighter. So we are seeing Geonosian ships pop up in platoons. I'm sure I missed some here in the previous phases. I may have, I may not have. I don't think I remember seeing any of the Geonosians here. Now here we go, Geonosian in Phase 2 as well. So Some very light requirements on Geonosian ships, but I still cannot see any Geonosians anywhere in any of the phases, and I think that points to them being required for some kind of special or combat mission in every single phase that we have here. I'm sure that in Phase 4 we're going to have a special mission that requires Wat Tambor, just like we have for the hostile territory battles requiring Imperial Probe Droid and Rebel Officer Leia Organa. So I'm expecting something with Wat and Geonosians and the special mission there. And overall, a lot of Darth Revans here in Phase 4. You just pretty much go through here and you're going to find Darth Revans and Darth Maliks. Here's a Darth Revan, Darth Malik. Darth Revan and Darth Malik is everywhere in Phase 4. A lot of people are going to have to give up Darth Revan and Darth Malik here. That is going to be expected for the platoons in the final phase, and honestly this is pretty much in line with what I was expecting anyways. I was expecting them to make things extremely hard in Phase 4 to wrap things up, really be a wall for a lot of people, so it's going to be very hard combat missions, and a lot of people are going to have to do it without their full Sith Empire teams. And remember, outside of a Darth Revan lead, the Sith Empire has no real solid leads. In fact, I don't think they have any leaderships. So outside of Darth Revan, if you have to give him up for platoons, you might as well start looking at sacrificing some of your other Sith Empire characters if necessary. Darth Malik could find a good use on something like a Emperor Palpatine team, or even a Darth Traya team. Same with Fallen Bastila. HK-47, if you have to field a Darkside droid team, you could try using an HK-47 lead, or you could try him with something else. You could even try throw him under a General Grievous lead for some kind of weird droid team there as well. So there are options for using your Darkside Sith Empire characters if you're not going to be using a Darth Revan because you had to give him up for platoons. So do keep that in mind as well. And overall, there's still some pretty solid leads that you have to give up here, like Jango Fett and Bossk here in middle 3, Emperor Palpatine here, Death Trooper. Overall, still a lot of strong characters that you're going to have to give up, but you do have some weaker ones, like First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter Pilot, two of them in the same one. So First Order can still be sacrificed to fill out your platoons. Still going to have to give up some Night Sisters here and there, like here I see Night Sister Spirit, Zombie, Talzin, Acolyte, along with none other Darth Revan, and then over here we have Darth Revan and Mother Talzin together, some Initiate and Spirit here. Mother Talzin and a lot of your Night Sisters are going to be used in platoons as well. So this all ties back to the same thing from before, is that it's got to be strategic. If you can give up one or two characters per faction and still field a solid faction for yourself, by all means go with that. You can give up either Spirit or Acolyte or, God forbid, even Zombie, and still field a pretty solid Night Sister team with your Bounty Hunters. If you have to give a Jango Fett lead and you can use Bossk instead, that's great. Bossk, Zango the lead, is really solid for Darkside Hoth, so I would imagine that he's pretty strong here for the Darkside Geonosian as well, so do keep that in mind. So there are a lot of things you can do with sacrificing your team and being pretty flexible. So that is going to be it. Let me know what you guys think. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below, what do you guys think of the platoon requirements here? Are you really surprised by it? Honestly, I'm surprised to not see any Separatist requirements outside of Phase 2 where they just go hard with it with General Grievous and the droids. But outside of that, pretty much nothing. And I mean, there's obviously some kind of clue here that we're gonna need a lot of Geonosians for some combat and special missions here somewhere. So let me know down below, what do you guys think? Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you guys later.